off to chat for the hearts that sustain us. Bring in the love where the waves crash and scatter. Words form a bond and they endlessly chain us. Kindness that matters. Voices arise and the flow never falter. Building a space where the ties last forever. Chat is the place where respect doesn't alter, holding us clever. Grateful are we for the sparks that ignite us. Chat lifts us up, every voice brings its power. Threads of goodwill through the storms that unite us. Hope we devour. Here in this space, every heart finds its meaning. Words weave a net where the world feels much kinder. Chat is the pulse, every moment redeeming, binding reminder. Grateful are we for the sparks that ignite us. Chat lifts us up, every voice brings its power. Threads of goodwill through the storms that unite us. Hope we devour. Quiet nights and the storms full of thunder, chat holds the light, every word a new tether. Strength in the love that connects us, no sunder, lifting together. Hats off to chat for the joy in your giving. Every kind soul brings a world that feels brighter. May these connections endure while we're living, bond growing tighter. Hats off to chat for the joy in your giving. Every kind soul brings a world that feels brighter. May these connections endure while we're living, bond growing tighter. To chat for the hearts that sustain us. Bring in the love where the waves crash and scatter. Words form a bond and they endlessly chain us. Kindness that matters. Voices arise and the flow never falter. Building a space where the ties last forever. Chat is the place where respect doesn't alter, holding us clever. Grateful are we for the sparks that ignite us. Chat lifts us up, every voice brings it.
Hey, Brian. Brian, you win first in today, it appears. Fuzzy. How are you doing? I have missed your lovely faces. We missed last week, y'all. How about that 420 stream, though? That was fun. My goodness, it was a lovely day. Hey, Lupita. Let's hand out that first in. I'm wrong. It's not Brian who won. It's Fuzzy who won. Fuzzy was first in. I'm reading the stream backwards. You've been busy too, Brian? You driving people around in that car? I know you're probably doing more for your community with that car than we could have imagined. I have no doubt. It has been an insane day. I had an appointment this morning, and then I had to rush and work on homework. And I got that done mostly, I think. It's turned in, so I guess it's done. Brian was definitely first. Okay, Brian, it is yours. Susan, my dear. How the heck are you? How the heck are you? Adam, greetings indeed to the congregation. Greetings and blessings. Brian, I will email this to you. You're just going to have to probably send me a reminder email because I won't remember. Send me a reminder email and let me know which one you won. You start classes in June. What are you taking classes for, Brian? That's so exciting. Top Chat is quietly campaigning to be the next pope. Let's talk about the papal contenders, Adam. Who is your favorite? J-Bat, my dear. It sure is good to see you. Susan, I'm glad you're doing well. How is that job going? Are you still working? I've been worried about how early in the morning you've been having to get up for that job. Let's turn on some music, y'all. I like the background music. Let's see if we can get something chill. A degree in history with a minor in creative writing. Well, I wonder why, Adam. I think we've got other more pressing concerns right now, but I am concerned about who is going to win the conclave. For a bit longer? Okay. But you're doing okay, Susan. I don't want it to be too much. 4 a.m.? Girl, you should be in bed already. It's 9 o'clock there. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're going to take summer classes, Brian. 2 classes. Excellent. Taking biology and music appreciation in the fall, a lot of writing classes. Glutton for punishment. I feel you. I am a similar glutton for punishment, clearly. But a history degree, that just sounds excellent. Pope Francis was pretty cool, yes. You think an African has a good chance of being elected, and they are, yeah, I am concerned about that. I like the Filipino guy. I really like the Filipino guy. And the Italian guy, you wanted to say hi. I'm so glad you stopped by, Susan. I really am. Adam, your name in Spanish is Adam. You guys crack me up. You know, I have been either at work or studying all day. I have not seen poor Orion hardly at all. What do you guys think? Y'all want to see a puppers? Hold on just a second. Let me see. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go back to this. Come here, Bubba. Hold on. Come here. Yeah, come on. Look at this. Oh, no, not my face. Not my face. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I haven't seen you all day. I haven't seen you all day. Yeah. Have you been in the punishment cell? Yeah. Can you not lick all my makeup off? I would really appreciate that if you didn't lick all my makeup off. Yeah. That would make me happy. Ah. Okay. The Pope is an excellent song by a Canadian spoken word artist named Marin Cadell. Donadon de Castillo. Who's Donadon de Castillo? Hope to be back here soon. I hope you're back here soon too, Susan. I have missed you a lot. I've missed you a lot. I know others have noticed your absence as well and miss you as well. Look at that puppy. Look at that puppy. Ryan. Yes. Snarfy snarf. Snarfy snarf. Lick my neck instead of my face. That's fine. Can you stop? Can you stop? Can you stop? No. No. Hi, Paolo. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes. Shall we scratch and scratch? Scritches. They're getting a good view of the green screen there. I don't know what's called. Oh. Did I get my face too close to your... Yes. Snarf a snarf. Snarf a snarf. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes. Yes. You're the star of the show right now. Uh-huh. Licking my face. Oh my goodness. Oh. You have to do that right in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Lick my face. Yeah. Come on. Night, everyone. Night, Susan says, night, everyone. We miss you too, my dear. We miss you very much. Yeah. Hi. That's a nice pose. Everybody should like that one. Yeah. Hold on a second. Oh. Yes, yes. You need scratches. So tonight, guys, I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing homework because I have a paper that I need to read and summarize, and it's due tomorrow. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do about tomorrow. I've got a staff meeting. There we go. I've got a staff meeting that I'm supposed to be in. I've got a staff meeting I'm supposed to be in for work at 8:30. It lasts an hour. And class starts at 9. And the boss didn't seem too pleased that I was going to be missing it. So I've got to figure out what I do. If I play hooky to class, or if I go to, because my boss said it's okay this time, but to try to talk to my professor about next time. So I take my boss at her word, rather. You just missed him, brain fog. Did you see him? He was up here, hanging out, coming to see me. So this paper I have to read is called, the title of the paper is there a better time to focus on form? Teacher and learner views. And if we're going to read it, I need my reading glasses. And I got to find those. Hold on a second. Poor Orion. I know, the poor thing. He's so put upon. Hey, hey. There's nothing there. You're barking at air. Either that or you're barking at people who live here. Either of which is problematic. Okay, y'all. So let's get to work. The title of the paper is there a better time to focus on form? Teacher and learner views. So let me read you the abstract here. This study, Orion Lewis is a comedy master. Yes. This study investigated the views of teachers and learners regarding the timing of grammatical instruction, conceptualized as a distinction between isolated and integrated form-focused instruction proposed by Spada and Light-Brown. Both types of form-focused instruction are described as taking place in primarily meaning-based communicative classrooms. They differ in that isolated form-focused instruction occurs separately from communicative activities, whereas integrated form-focused instruction occurs during communicative activities. Using this theoretical distinction, the researchers developed teacher and learner questionnaires and validated them as measures of both constructs supported by a factor analysis. The questionnaires were administered to explore the views of teachers and learners in two contexts: ESL in Canada and EFL in Brazil. Quantitative and qualitative analyses of the questionnaire data indicate a distinct preference for integrated form-focused instruction across groups, teachers and learners, and contexts, ESL and EFL. At the same time, teachers and learners also acknowledge the value of isolated form-focused instruction. These views, recognizing the important roles played by both integrated and isolated form-focused instruction, are consistent with those discussed in the instructed second language acquisition literature. Teachers and learners also drew attention to contextual and individual differences that may have an impact on decisions about the timing of grammatical instruction. Homework gimmick. I hornswoggled you with a homework gimmick? Oh my. We're going to have to define hornswoggled now. I did sort of hornswoggle you. It does say Wheel of Wednesday, and instead we are doing a study night. And for that, I truly apologize. But I am having so much trouble just simply keeping up with the reading in this class. You guys will not believe it. I'm getting like 3 to 6 chapters a week. It's a lot. And by chapters, I include the papers. So let's read the introduction and see what it has to say. Hornswoggled. I hornswoggled your help, that's for sure. Okay. Since the introduction of communicative language teaching, Wheel of Linguistic Pedagogy, bamboozled. I am so sorry, Fuzzy. It's not the most interesting paper in the world either. Let's go through the introduction and see what we can get out of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But there's a lot. Hoodwinked. Oh my goodness. Am I making you learn, Fuzzy? Is that the problem? You're going to make me take off my reading glasses and you're going to distract me with all these fun words. You didn't land on Plymouth Rock? I don't get it, Adam. My ancestors landed on Plymouth Rock. I did tell you it was going to be, I think I did say it was going to be a study hall. Soda was up here earlier, brain fog. You missed him. He, brain no work after 6. Brain no work at all. I don't believe you, J-Bat. You've done some sort of homework. It just hasn't been school homework. Just because it's school homework. Everybody freaks out because it's school homework. I'm almost done. Do you know what happened yesterday? My graduation robes arrived. So Soda was up here on the desk. Bamboozled and hoodwinked sounds like a Malcolm X speech. Ah. Oh my goodness. Soda has left a collection of hair in my lipstick. Nope, no homework at all? What about homework from work? Your grandma would say, Dar gato por liebre? Hoodwinked. Well, if you guys really want to, oh, Adam. Okay. So, if you really want, that's what I get for not keeping him there. I tried. I tried really hard to keep him here. If I get this hair, there it is. Oh my goodness. I think I got it, y'all. So if you guys really don't want to do homework, we won't do homework. We can play the game. Would you prefer to play a game? I don't have a bingo game prepared. We would have to play trivia. But if you want to play trivia instead, we can do that. So give me a 1. He hisses like a Ryan LePew. Humbugged. Yeah, he was, Soda got up here and he was very insistent. He's got lots of lipstick on his Excuse me for a moment. I need to take care of something, guys. I will be right back. Back. Bet you didn't even miss me. He's got lipstick on his collar, Adam. Trivia sounds like homework. You have to help her graduate. Orion did have lipstick on his collar. That was exactly the problem. I need to get it off before someone notices. Trivia sounds like homework. Fuzzy, have you seen the trivia game that I got? You've seen it, haven't you? The Boomer trivia game? I think I should find a Gen X trivia game. Sunrise. Okay, we will do the paper. More hair. Hair everywhere, y'all. I didn't think there'd be so much cat hair. Nope. I can't even see it. Okay. Yes, let's get us through this semester. This one is hard. Okay, lip gloss on. Lipstick handled. Let's read this paper, y'all. Since the introduction of communicative language teaching, CLT, one of the central concerns for language teachers and researchers has been how to best support the development of grammatical accuracy. Although some versions of CLT maintain no role for grammar instruction, emphasizing an exclusive focus on meaning and context-based instruction, other views of CLT acknowledge the need for focus on form within primarily meaning content-based instruction. Most classroom research supports the latter view, showing that a combined focus on form and meaning is more effective than an exclusive focus on either one. The challenge, however, is to determine how best to draw learners' attention to grammar within CLT. One way in which this has been examined is in relation to the timing of grammatical instruction, whether it is provided separately from or embedded within communicative practice. Sunrise Dawn, have a great live. Hugs and hugs. See you later. Much of the discussion around the timing of grammar instruction has been theoretical in nature. For example, Doty and Williams propose a model that distinguishes between separation, sequential integration, and simultaneous integration. Sequential integration involves brief interventions of a focus on form, whereas simultaneous integration involves continuous attention to the both. What in the chat GPT does which mean, Nebulous? Sequential integration includes brief interventions of a focus on form. I already said that. Whereas simultaneous integration involves continuous attention to both. Ellis addresses two primary questions related to the timing of grammar instruction. At what point grammar should be introduced in a program, and when it is best addressed during a lesson. With respect to the first question, one could argue that an early knowledge of structure helps learners develop strong form meaning mapping necessary for language acquisition. back up. Communicative language teaching, yes. The reader of the paper would know what communicative language teaching is. Communicative language teaching is teaching the language communicative language teaching, Fuzzy, it's an approach to language instruction that emphasizes interaction and real life communication as the means and the goal of learning. So it focuses on developing learners' ability to use the language effectively and appropriately in various social contexts, rather than drilling grammar and vocabulary in isolation. Does that make sense, Fuzz? What does isolation and integrals mean in this context? Let's go back to that because I needed to go back to that anyhow. So, Doty and Williams propose a model that distinguishes between separation, sequential integration, and simultaneous integration. So what they mean is, do we have CLT and then a focus on form? Or do we find some way simultaneously within the CLT, do we find a way to focus on form? Yeah, this is a difficult paper. He's not giving us easy ones. Sequential integration involves brief interventions with a focus on form. It would help if I could talk. Sequential integration includes brief interventions of a focus on form, whereas simultaneous integration involves continuous attention to both. Ellis addresses two primary questions related to the timing of grammar instruction. So the thing is, you can teach, there's two ways to teach people to speak English. One is to teach them in a classroom, drilling grammar and vocabulary words. And the other is to put them in situations where they need to communicate. And the question is, if you're using communicative language teaching, which is not drilling, if you're using communicative language teaching, where do you correct somebody if they're getting the grammar wrong? If the grammar is wrong, how do you know when to correct someone? Building on an earlier discussion of the teaching of grammar within the instructional sequence, Spada and Lightbound distinguish between two approaches to the timing of grammatical instruction that they refer to as isolated and integrated form-focused instruction. Situational learning, yes, Adam, they find that situational learning is best, but the problem still remains. When do you do a focus on form? When do you knock out of that communicative language teaching model and switch to a focus on form? And how do you know when that's most effective? Because you don't want to You don't want to interrupt the learning. And if the communication is effective, if people are actually communicating, then do you need to focus on the form? It's a difficult one. Yes, understanding and communicating. Exactly. Both types of instruction occur in classrooms where the primary focus is on meaning, but differ in terms of when the attention is focused on form. Isolated form-focused instruction describes instruction in which learners' attention is drawn to form separately from communicative activities. That is, before, in preparation, or after a communicative activity. Integrated form-focused instruction describes instruction in which learners' attention is drawn to form during communicative activities. Spada and Lightbound argue for the complementarity of isolated and integrated form-focused instruction, that both types of instruction are beneficial for different aspects of second language learning, and claim that an exclusive choice between the two is not necessary. The results of a recent classroom study provide empirical support for this claim, reporting that the effects of integrated and isolated form-focused instruction contributed to the development of various types of second language knowledge. These theoretical and empirical insights from the instructed second language acquisition literature suggest that the two approaches to the timing of grammatical instruction are not mutually exclusive. But these views do not include those from classroom teachers whose opinions may differ. We know from the teacher cognition literature that teachers base their instructional practice on more than theory and research in second language acquisition. Their own practical theories about teaching are motivated by a much wider range of social, pedagogical, contextual, and pragmatic factors. One of the goals of the present research is to explore whether teachers' perspectives on isolated and integrated form-focused instruction are consistent with current theoretical views about the timing of grammatical instruction, as discussed in the instructed second language acquisition literature. Whereas teachers' beliefs have been shown to strongly influence the development of teachers' practice and views about teacher preparation, learners' beliefs have also been observed to play an important role in second language learning. For example, there is evidence that what learners believe guides them in adopting specific learning strategies. For example, there is evidence that what learners believe guides them in adopting specific learning strategies which may impact on language learning success. For example, there is evidence that what learners believe guides them in adopting specific learning strategies which may impact on language learning success. There, I got that sentence. Oh my goodness. Importantly, compatibility between teacher and learner beliefs has long been highlighted as a factor for successful learning and teaching. Nonetheless, teachers' and learners' views can differ considerably and a mismatch between the two could negatively contribute to learners' motivation and satisfaction, as well as pedagogical effectiveness. Exactly, Adam. That right there, Adam. That one right there is why we were talking about Skinner earlier. It's a behaviorist approach to learning is that formalistic language learning. It's not communicative language teaching. It's teaching something else. Hey, Bridge, how are you? It's teaching words, but it's not teaching communication. So you'll get students who pass the written English test, but they can't pass the speaking version, or they can't actually speak the they can't actually speak the language. They can't communicate. So they can there is a difference. Sounds like Oxford versus Cambridge University curriculum malarkey, though probably it's important. It's important for learning any language. I mean, I just took a training on communicating. Interesting, Adam. It's only book learning. There's no communication involved. So I took this training on pervasive mental and physical disabilities. And one of the things it talked about is communicating with those with profound disabilities who don't have language, and how common it is for people who have language, caregivers, when they are working with people who don't have language, it's relatively common to do both sides of the conversation, to talk and then answer, and to talk and then answer, and to fill in all the communication, because we feel like that's friendly. We feel like that's how you communicate with somebody. But the reality is, in somebody who doesn't have verbal language, their brain hasn't changed. There are changes in the brain related to learning a language, to learning to speak, to learning to communicate with words, creates changes in the brain in a child. And so you have to learn how to communicate with them without words. So much of communication is without words. And so that's the problem that communicative language teaching is trying to address. And it works, but this question, the question the paper is trying to address is, okay, great, we're doing communicative language teaching, but when do we... Yes, they are exposed to language for a long time before they can speak. Exactly. When do we do directive language teaching? When do we do that focus on form? And I mean, we let children... I think it's important to consider how we focus on form with children. And I mean, that's what second language acquisition folks do. So it's interesting. Thus, a second goal of the present research is to investigate if learners' views about isolated and integrated form-focused instruction are compatible or incompatible with teachers' views. Singapore had a Speak Mandarin campaign. I would enjoy the commercials. Oh, let me make a note, Adam. Oh, you guys. I have to show you. I went shopping yesterday. Brain fog, are you still here? I have to show you. I totally forgot. Okay, hold on. Don't go anywhere. Pause. This is important. You have a pause for the shopping event. Hold on. Not a purse. You guys see that? It's an earring. There you go. Bridge, you're a second language learner? I didn't realize that. English is a second language? Aren't these fabulous, y'all? Brain fog, she had some with the evil eye. She had some with skulls. I totally thought of you. Yes, things have come a long way since the 70s. Bridge, a long way. I also got some makeup. I got ColourPop was having a sale. They have a new make your own palette. So I wanted a purple palette. Come on. There it is. So I made myself a purple palette. And then I got a new lipstick. I'm wearing it. And I got these two new blushes. I got this color. I got this color that's called Sweet Treat. There it is. That's a bad place to put. Look at how pretty that is, you guys. Glowy blush. And then I got this one. This one is Sweet Treat. This one is Princess Ave. There we go. Just don't lower your voice and say, put those earrings in the basket. There's that one. That's a pretty color too. Got makeup all over my hands. And then Sephora was having a sale. And so I got two, I splurged on some lipsticks. Oh yeah, I wore makeup way before. I wore makeup long before. Long before brain fog. Don't worry. So there's that one. You can hardly see it. And here's this one. See it above my watch there. Totally procrastinating, Fuzzy. This is much, don't you guys think this is much more fun than doing the homework? There's both of those colors. Look at those. Aren't they beautiful? So that is what I got. Oh, one more thing. This is what started the whole conversation. One more thing. I think it's over, brain fog. I think it's over. So there is this vendor in the Pacific Northwest, and what they do is they get old books and they bind them into journals. So I saw this one. The King's Speech is a great movie, Nebulous. As a first-generation American, our family things were different. Only speaking Polish when I started kindergarten. Pretty much you were told... Oh, Bridge, I hope you didn't lose your Polish as a result. People don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore. Check this out, guys. Ah! Check it out. Beauty school dropout. Yes. But then it transitions into a journal. Yeah. It's adorable. Really lovely. And it's small. It's just such a nice little size, you guys. I really could not resist it. I couldn't resist it. So that's what I got. I like hearing anybody speak Polish, Adam. Polish is just a lovely, lovely language. Here, let's see. Let me try something. see something. Okay. Nothing I wanted to show you. The Notebook. The Notebook, Lapita. The Notebook is at bookjournals.com. They just have all manner That's where I got the journal at a local store, Lupita, but they're available from that link. They're available from that link. I think it's funny that to be or not to be sounds like bitch. You're welcome, Lupita. I got, when we moved from Seattle to Portland, I got books. I got book journals made out of the places you will go for my kids to have their schoolmates sign their names in before they left as a goodbye gift. It was a lovely idea at the time. Okay, brain fog, I'm listening. Back to school. The impact of context is also critical in our understanding of how teachers and learners engage with different methodologies and instructional approaches. A significant contextual factor is the distinction between English as a foreign language and English as a second language. Although not a monolithic distinction, it is recognized that ESL and EFL contexts typically provide different linguistic environments to learners and teachers and have an important impact on pedagogy. Not for graduation. We were moving, so I got it but it's a great graduation gift, but I also got it as a moving and going away gift for them to have everybody sign. For example, the ESL context provides rich input and exposure to a greater range of language outside the classroom than contexts in which the target language is not used in the broader community. In EFL contexts, most if not all of the oral input is provided by the teacher, and opportunities for interaction are limited to the classroom. So does that distinction make sense between an ESL classroom and an EFL classroom? Successful program innovation depends on an understanding of the context, a point that has been observed in ESL and EFL classrooms Successful program innovation depends on an understanding of the context. A point that has been observed in EFL classrooms attempting to adopt communicative language teaching. Just a second, no? Okay. These differences in ESL and EFL contexts may have an effect on teachers and learners' beliefs related to questions such as the timing of grammatical instruction. For example, one might speculate that EFL learners and teachers may prefer isolated form-focused instruction because it gives them greater control over grammar teaching and learning, whereas ESL learners and teachers may value integrated form-focused instruction as an approach that best reflects the immediate communicative needs outside the classroom. Therefore, the third goal of the present research is to explore whether there are any differences between teacher and learner views depending on the context of their language teaching learning experience. This study reports on an investigation of teacher and learner views about isolated and integrated form-focused instruction in ESL in Canada and EFL in Brazil, using validated questionnaires to measure teachers and learners' views about the two types of instruction. The following research questions were investigated. Do ESL, EFL teachers and learners have a preference for isolated or integrated form-focused instruction? Are there differences between learners and teachers' preferences for isolated and integrated form-focused instruction? Are there differences between ESL and EFL teachers and learners' preferences for isolated and integrated form-focused instruction? Now there's literature review. More literature review. Previous studies have examined language camps. Language camps are interesting. Language camps attempt to create an EFL environment. I've heard Middlebury is extremely successful. Previous studies have examined teacher and learner beliefs and preferences related to grammatical instruction in both second language and foreign language contexts. The majority of these have been concerned with teacher and learner views on the value of explicit instruction and the role of error correction. The findings from these studies have varied, and research has highlighted the role of context and the impact of multiple variables on learner and teacher beliefs and preferences. For example, a synthesis of findings from studies involving EFL learners in a number of countries indicate that grammatical instruction was generally considered important, but how important varied as a matter of degree. Other research has shown that setting and target language appear to play a role. Lowen et al. Found that ESL learners were less positive about grammar instruction and error correction, and valued improving communicative skills more than learners of other foreign languages. Whereas learners of Chinese and Arabic were more positive about grammar instruction and error correction than learners of other languages. Interesting. The authors suggest that context, previous experience, and the nature of the target language played important roles in shaping the different views of ESL learners and those of other languages. Research investigating the degree to which teachers and learners share common beliefs has also shown similar patterns. Differences between teachers and learners appear to be a matter of degree rather than absolute, and a number of factors appear to play a role. In some cases, learners were more favorable toward explicit grammar instruction or corrective feedback than teachers were. Other research has confirmed that the differences were a matter of degree, but also highlighted the role of context. For example, Schultz found that EFL learners in Colombia and learners of foreign languages in U.S. universities favored explicit grammatical instruction and error correction more strongly than teachers. However, learners and teachers in Colombia overall were more positive about the value of explicit instruction and error correction than their U.S. counterparts. In addition, Colombian teachers felt more strongly than the U.S. teachers that studying grammar helped communicative abilities develop and that learners enjoyed it. Few studies have focused on learners' and teachers' views about the timing of grammatical instruction. 2 studies have examined this question using terminology that is different from but similar to the constructs of integrated and isolated FFI. Yes, Nebulous. Context, that's what they're saying. Context is everything. Medical English, general English, specialized English, what kind of English are you needing to speak? And if you bring world languages into it, then it's even more complicated. Yes, you are absolutely right, Nebulous. For example, Burgess and Etherington addressed the issue as decontextualized presentation of grammar versus discourse-based unified approaches. In research with teachers of English for academic purposes in ESL contexts, teachers expressed a preference for the use of authentic text to present grammar, which suggested a bias toward discourse-based treatment of grammar rather than a decontextualized presentation of grammar. So, what communicative language teaching does is contextualize the teaching, right? If you're teaching in a classroom just about grammar, it's completely disconnected from the idea of communication. In research of Borg and Burns elicited beliefs about how to address grammar in relation to skills teaching and found that both ESL and EFL teachers overwhelmingly expressed a preference for addressing grammar integrated with rather than isolated from skills-based activities and teaching. 2 studies have specifically investigated beliefs and preferences for isolated and integrated form-focused instruction, as defined by Spada and Lightbound, using questionnaires similar or identical to those created for the present study. In a study with teachers and learners in a university EFL program in Iran, Songhori found that both groups preferred integrated form-focused instruction. The researchers suggest that this showed support for a communicative approach to language teaching, in which a focus on form was integrated with communicative activities. However, he highlights the potential mismatch between these preferences and contextual factors in state schools in Iran that encouraged more traditional structure-based approaches with little attention paid to meaning-based instruction. Decontextualized grammar learning. I mean, did you take second language classes in middle school and high school, Adam? Because it's probably what you got if you did. Even if you're taking computer language classes, it's contextualized. However, he highlights the potential mismatch between these preferences and contextual factors in state schools in Iran that encourage more traditional structure-based approaches with little attention paid to meaning-based instruction. On the basis of learner preferences, the author calls for teachers to adopt a more integrated approach. Elgun Gündüz, Akan, and Bayurt use the same learner questionnaire described in the present study with primary school learners in Turkey. The questionnaire data show that overall, learners preferred integrated form-focused instruction to isolated form-focused instruction. In a follow-up interviews with smaller group of learners, the researchers described an isolated and integrated lesson and asked the learners to say which they preferred and why. The majority of the learners preferred integrated form-focused instruction and described how it motivated them to learn and helped them transfer grammatical knowledge to communication. Those who preferred isolated form-focused instruction described how separating grammar instruction from communicative practice helped them notice the grammatical rule and apply it in grammar-based tests. Yes, they were, Adam. They aren't completely useless, Adam, because exposure is like half the goal. Exposure is like half the goal. During World War II, British agents were lost in countries where they were not taught how the indigenous animals sound like a cow. Yes. Yes, those things are really important. In the Czech Republic, the cow says boo. Yeah. Those things you learn as a child, the cow says moo. That shit's important. I mean, Inglourious Bastards, right? What's the difference between 3? What's the difference between 3 and 3? Right? 3 or 3? Making them say squirrel. How did that work, Adam? Teacher and learner views about the timing of grammatical instruction have not been as extensively investigated as other aspects of grammatical instruction. In addition, studies that have examined the question of timing have not completed teacher and learner views across ESL and EFL instructional contexts. Furthermore, although the constructs of integrated and isolated form-focused instruction are valuable as a theoretical framework to address the question of timing of grammatical instruction, the extent to which teacher and learner views align with current discussions about this in the instructed SLA literature has not been directly examined. This study is intended to address those gaps. Now we go into a whole lot of discussion about methods, which are basically questionnaires distributed to teachers and students in EFL and ESL contexts. So we delivered them to teachers in ESL contexts, delivered them to students in ESL contexts. We delivered them to teachers in EFL contexts. We delivered them to students in EFL contexts. It's hard for not native speakers to say squirrel. In German or in English? Oh, German spies. Got it. They made the German spies say squirrel. That's interesting. I didn't know that test, Adam. And I was thinking they were the Germans. In my head, I know you said the words exactly. But in my head, I was thinking the Germans were uncovering British spies by making them say squirrel. And I'm like, I don't understand how that would work. We've got a whole lot of information about the results. Let's skip all of that because they've got teacher data qualitative results, teacher data quantitative results. Then they've got student data quantitative results and student data qualitative results. So let's skip to this discussion because we are coming up hard on the second Minnesota goodbye, y'all. We missed the first one. I wonder if we're going to get a third Minnesota goodbye today. I've got the most adorable little award for third Minnesota goodbye today, but let's get to the discussion and see what they have to say for themselves. Because I got to write a review. I got to write a summary about this paper tonight. It's pretty, it's a whole lot of fucking words, but it's pretty straightforward, right? What they want to do is discover what preferences EFL and ESL students and teachers have with regards to form-focused instruction being integrated or separate during communicative language teaching. Is that right? Is that what it's saying? Did I just get that right? Did that all make sense? Okay, so discussion. The first question in this study explored whether ESL and EFL teachers and learners have a preference for isolated or integrated form-focused instruction. I think that's what I just said, isn't it? Analysis of the quantitative responses to the questionnaire items and the qualitative analysis of the teacher and learner comments indicate a distinct preference for integrated over isolated form-focused instruction. In China, they cut the skin from under the tongue in order to speak better English. They otherwise can't pronounce Thursday and such like well. Interesting. Because their tongue isn't used to that. Their tongue isn't used to that movement, and so it's difficult to make it. Very interesting. This finding is consistent with the other two studies that have investigated the same FFI form-focused instruction constructs. They also echo similar findings in studies that have reported teachers' preferences for instruction that treats grammar in an integrated manner by presenting it within a text and addressing it during communicative activities rather than in an isolated manner. Talk while you walk, exactly. This preference for integrated FFI expressed by both teachers and learners is consistent with theoretical assumptions about the role of grammar in communicative classrooms, that embedding grammar within communicative activities has the potential to enhance L2 learning by creating opportunities for learners to focus on form and communication at the same time. It is also consistent with empirical findings in instructed SLA research, indicating the benefits of a focus on form within communicative practice. Even though the majority of teachers and learners expressed a preference for integrated FFI, this did not mean that they discounted the value of isolated FFI. This was evident in the quantitative data, particularly for the ESL learners, who responded more positively to some of the isolated items on the questionnaire, and who reinforced this in their comments in the qualitative data. Furthermore, several of the ESL teachers described situations in which they felt that one approach was sometimes necessary over the other. This recognition of the value of both approaches is consistent with research and theory claiming that each option may play a different role in L2 learning. Indeed, some of the respondents referred to specific circumstances in which isolated and/or integrated FFI might be particularly useful, similar to those discussed in SPADA and Lightbound. For example, isolated instruction may be particularly useful in promoting the acquisition of language features that are difficult to notice in the input. For example, the third person singular S in English, whereas integrated FFI may be of particular benefit in the development of fluency and the automation of second language features for effective communication. We're coming in on the home stretch, y'all. Second Minnesota goodbye. The second research question examined whether there were differences between the beliefs and preferences of learners and those of teachers. The old I before E sounds good to you? Yeah. The second research question examined whether there were differences between the beliefs and preferences of learners and those of teachers. The fact that the teachers and learners in this study shared similar views about integrated and isolated approaches to grammar instruction suggests a compatible match of beliefs and preferences and is consistent with the findings of Songhori, in which teachers cited learners' preferences as a guide to their own choices about timing and grammatical instruction. A number of teachers in this study also referred to learner preferences as an important factor, similar to comments made by the teachers in Burgess and Etherington's study. This is consistent with the position that it is important for learners and teachers to share or at least understand each other's preferences for learning and teaching. As indicated above, previous research on learner and teacher preferences about grammar instruction and error correction has often revealed differences between teacher and learner views. These studies have reported, for example, that learners preferred to have more explicit grammar instruction and error correction than teachers were willing to provide and thought was necessary. Interestingly, these two instructional components, i.e. explicit grammar teaching and error correction, are included in both integrated and isolated FFI. They do not constitute distinctions between the two types, and thus would not have emerged as differences in the present study with its focus on timing rather than the type of grammatical instruction. The third research question explored whether there were differences between ESL and EFL teachers and learners' preferences. The results revealed that teachers and learners in both instructional contexts expressed a preference for integrated FFI with no substantive differences between the contexts. This is in line with studies that have found agreement between teachers and learners on the topic of grammatical instruction across instructional contexts. Adam, you crack me up. Nonetheless, some statistically significant differences were also evident between the ESL and EFL teachers and learners in this study. For example, the ESL teachers indicated a stronger preference for FFI, for integrated FFI, than the EFL teachers did. And the ESL learners responded more positively to some of the isolated items than the EFL learners did. In the case of the differences between ESL and EFL learners, the different linguistic environments in which they were situated may have played a role. For example, it is possible that ESL learners express stronger preferences for isolated FFI because they already had opportunities for exposure to language outside the classroom. As such, they may have valued isolated FFI to fine-tune some of the language they used in communicative interactions in the natural setting. Conversely, because EFL learners did not have access to a rich communicative context outside the classroom, they may have appreciated integrated FFI for the opportunity to get 2 for 1. To focus on language and communication at the same time. In their comparison of learners' views about grammatical instruction in second and foreign language classes, Lowen et al. Suggest the opposite, that the differences in context may have encouraged ESL learners to prioritize communication over grammatical instruction precisely because it was available. The ESL learners in that study, however, were compared to learners of other languages, not EFL. And the researchers note that the target language and previous learner experience with grammar were key variables. With regard to the teachers, differences in the backgrounds and demographic characteristics between the ESL and EFL teachers may have played a role. Overall, the ESL teachers had more teaching experience than the EFL teachers, and a majority of them had completed a graduate degree. Although it is not clear how these characteristics may have affected the responses of individuals, they cannot be discounted. For example, it may be that the ESL teacher's classroom experience and graduate level education may have given them more confidence in supporting one approach over another. In this integrated form-focused instruction with greater conviction. Although the EFL teachers also expressed a preference for integrated form-focused instruction, perhaps they were less confident about it because they drew on less teaching experience and education, although that is speculative. Exactly, Nebulous. Teaching to the level of being grammar police can and does distract students from progression. Absolutely. It discourages communication if you're the grammar police. I mean, hell, it discourages communication to be the grammar police with somebody who's a native speaker. How discouraging do you think it is for somebody who's a non-native speaker, right? It's just nuts. It's just nuts. Okay, 2 more pages. Okay? Are we good? Conclusion and implications. This study investigated teachers' and learners' views about the timing of grammatical instruction in second and foreign language contexts. The findings show a distinct preference for integrated over isolated form-focused instruction across groups. The overall preference for integrated form-focused instruction suggests that learners and teachers are comfortable with instruction that demands switching between attention to form and attention to meaning. These findings are consistent with current theory and research in second language learning and teaching. The preference for integrated form-focused instruction observed in this study was not absolute. The qualitative comments provided by many of the ESL and EFL teachers and learners point to the benefits of isolated form-focused instruction. It is interesting to note, however, that despite their recognition of the value of isolated form-focused instruction, this was not selected as the preferred choice by most of the teachers and learners. Thus, it appears that for the majority of ESL and EFL teachers and learners in this study, integrated form-focused instruction is the default choice, with isolated form-focused instruction as an option, depending on the range of pedagogic variables. The fact that teachers and learners shared a similar instructional preference can be seen as positive news given the concerns in the literature with the mismatch between the two. As indicated above, this is in contrast to other research that has reported differences between the two groups. This may be due to the fact that the learners and teachers in the present study were asked to respond to questions about a specific feature of grammar instruction, i.e., timing, rather than to broader notions about the role of grammar instruction in general. This adds credence to the proposal that more focused studies may lead to more unified results. It is important to note that the use of questionnaires for the purposes of understanding learner beliefs and teacher cognition comes with limitations. A more in-depth examination of individual teacher and learner perspectives might have been gained through interviews, which could have supplemented the information obtained via the questionnaires used in this study and would have enhanced the database. In fact, interview data were collected with a sample of the EFL teachers who participated in the study, but it was not possible to collect these data with the ESL teachers and learners in both contexts. The EFL teacher interview data confirmed the findings reported here, that is, a preference for integrated FFI along with recognition of the value of isolated FFI. It is equally important to note that unlike other teacher and learner questionnaire studies, the instrument used to collect teacher and learner data in this study underwent extensive reliability and validity testing. The use of a validated questionnaire not only adds to the robustness of the findings, but also makes it possible for future studies to use these research instruments to to examine the timing of grammatical instruction in other language learning contexts. The unexpected finding from several teachers who reported that completing the questionnaire contributed to their professional growth in important ways is further evidence of the value of the questionnaire. Their comments revealed that the questionnaire had encouraged them to seriously reflect on their beliefs and preferences. This is well aligned with the current emphasis on teacher reflection as a source of professional growth. Research has highlighted the complexity of teacher engagement with research and the impact of experience on the development of teacher cognition. Last paragraph, we're bringing it home, y'all. The results of this study indicate that teacher and learner views about the timing of grammatical instruction in communicative classrooms are remarkably similar both within and across ESL and EFL contexts. Absolutely, Fab Daddy. Nobody's arguing that grammar is not important. That's not the argument. It completely is. How you doing, hun? It is good to see you. The finding that integrated FFI was preferred by the majority of teachers and learners might lead one to argue that L2 instructors should be encouraged to adopt integrated FFI as their instructional strategy. We believe it would be premature to do so for the following reasons. First, many of the teachers and learners who expressed a preference for integrated FFI also acknowledge the benefits of isolated FFI. This is compatible with current theoretical and empirical work in instructed second language acquisition. Second, until more research is done to explore in greater depth the reasons behind teacher and learner choices for isolated and integrated FFI, it is difficult to know under what conditions it is best to implement one or the other. Finally, while there is evidence to indicate that integrated and isolated FFI contribute positively to second language learning, there is no evidence that one approach is more effective than the other. Thus, based on the needs of learners and a range of other contextual and pedagogical factors, second language teachers would be advised to incorporate both integrated and isolated form-focused instruction into their instructional practice, with the knowledge that each is valuable for second language learning. Fini. Should make the fireworks go off. Can I make fireworks go off? Well, let's make... No, that's balloons. How about this one? How about this one? Nope, that's lights. This one? Confetti. How do I make the fireworks go off, guys? I don't remember how I make the fireworks go off. Fab Daddy. I think you get third Minnesota goodbye, Fab Daddy. It is yours. Have you been sitting here listening? Here is the third Minnesota Goodbye Award, y'all. Just for Fab Daddy. I hear No Face has kittens. I would love to have kittens. There are over 2,500 forms of nonverbal communication, such as body language, that provides greater communicative capabilities that can be underestimated in language teaching. You've been here a while? Dusty. Your grammar is like a rock in the flow of understanding. Eventually I will erode to sand and end up on the beach. Beaches are cool. Yes, there is. Well, Dusty, you didn't speak up. How are are you doing, sweetheart? How are you doing? It is good to see you, my man. It has been a while. I have been distracted doing other things. The kittens are cute. I haven't had a chance to see them. I will have to go back and watch some of No Face's videos. Boy, you guys, that paper tired me out. Did it tire you guys out? Now I gotta go write a summary. The summary is they did a lot of shit. And what we learned is what we thought. I think that's how it went. No two grains of sand on any beach are the same when observed under the microscope. Indeed. Statistics apply, absolutely. Statistically. They have no application individually. You cannot tell a thing about what an individual grain of sand is going to look like based on experience with other grains of sand. Oh my goodness, today with the cat hairs. Soda just left me so many. They're everywhere. Dusty, are you still at work or are you at home relaxing? Oh, hey guys. We're supposed to have book club on Sunday. To talk about the book on Burroughs and Scientology. What book is that? Hold on. Supposed to read Scientology, William S. Burroughs and the Weird Cult. So we're supposed to talk about this book on Sunday, but I think we're going to have to delay it. You're at home writing a small letter. So that is the link to the book on Amazon that we're reading. But I'm going to have to put off. I'm not going to have time to read that book. I will try. I will try to read it between now and Sunday. I've got time. I'll make it work. That is the book that we are discussing on Sunday. Or at least as far as I've gotten in the book. Now, smeared my lipstick, the cat did. The cat hair did it. The cat hair did it. That's better. You got your new avatar. Oh, Fab Daddy. Did you just pull it down? How'd you get it? Look at that orange baby. Look at that. I love seeing it when you guys use your awards as your avatars. I think that's so much fun. It is a brilliant idea. It is a brilliant idea. Are the kittens cute, Brain Fog? I really need to go check out. How many did he get? I heard one didn't make it. Sounded like he had 3 or 4. Is that right? I'm tired after all that. Guys, I am thinking screenshot. Excellent, Fab Daddy. I would have sent it to you, or I could have posted it so you could pull it down, but a screenshot works. For an avatar, you don't need that great a picture. Dusty, who are you writing a letter to? Dusty, did you see my new earrings? Fab Daddy, check out my new earrings. I know you guys care so much about this feminine shit. Oh my goodness, 4 hours old? That's so cool. I love these new earrings. Very nice. It would take the jam out of any donut? Yeah. That paper wore me out. It wore me out. I'm moderatorless, guys. I need to find a new moderator. You like jewelry? I like jewelry too. I saw those earrings and I just had to have them. I also got a Bobbsey Twins book journal, which was cool. Okay, you guys, I know we're not to 2 hours, but I am worn out. I feel like I just ran a marathon. Blinged out Fab Daddy? Yeah, I think with a crystal encrusted dog collar, Fab Daddy. That's what I see you in. A rhinestone encrusted dog collar. Like the Cockney that said, I've got a cute earring. The Cockney Bat said. Really, Fab Daddy? Are you all blinged out? Shiny things. I do like the shiny things. Although the book journal, I mean, check it out. Nebulous. Fab Daddy, isn't that great? It's an old Bobbsey Twins book with the note. Look. It says, you can read it. To Sheila from Patty in pencil. And it doesn't have a publication date. It just starts. I love it. I love it. And with that said, y'all, we We are coming up close on 2 hours. I'm going to let you guys go. I've got to figure out if I'm going to class or if I'm going to my staff meeting tomorrow morning. What do you guys think? Put a 1 if I should go to class, put a 2 if I should go to my staff meeting. Going to my staff meeting means I don't have to get up, get dressed, and drive across town. Because I can go to my staff meeting online from home. Yes, we are tomorrow at 7, Brain Fog. It's a Weber, Fab Daddy. You're hilarious. We have a Weber too. We have an old Weber kettle grill. We've had it for years and years and years. What did I say? A 1 if I should go to class and a 2. You got to tell me what the 2 means now, Brain Fog. That's how that paper wore me out. Brain no work and no more. Which was 2? Was 2 stay home and go to the staff meeting? Because I'm really leaning towards the staff meeting. It means I don't have to get up at 6 a.m. I can't meeting. Go to the staff meeting. Skip class and go to the staff meeting. I think that's a good plan. Can I join a commune in Tahiti? Is there one that's accepting people? Are there anti-cult staff meeting is 2? Okay, staff meeting is 2. I need more than 1 vote, you guys. A 1 is go to class and a 2 is go to staff meeting. And then I'll let you guys go. Adam, you're not going to contribute to my delinquency. You're going to give me a completely different option. There's this very entertaining student in my class. 2, no class, be the cool carry-on. Oh, I am definitely a sit in the front row kind of girl. That is me for sure. Okay, y'all. I will go to the staff meeting. I will miss class. I will report to you the results. And I will see you tomorrow night on Old Tifa. If there's anything you want us to talk about on Old Tifa tomorrow night, shoot me or Brain Fog an email. We love to hear from you. And we would love to talk about anything you'd like to talk about. So please just shoot us an email. Give us some ideas of what we should talk about tomorrow night. I mean, beyond just current events. I love the thumbs up thing. If the boss is already pissy, go to the meeting. Yeah. I'll go to the meeting. Okay, you guys. Hugs and hugs. Thanks for coming. Thanks for helping me with my homework. Thanks for getting excited about the things I got. And I will see you guys tomorrow.